And welcome inside the Pitt Studios here at the Peterson Event Center on the University of Pittsburgh campus. Jeff Hathorn with Jeff Capel. Congratulations on the win last night. I know it's been a crazy week.
It's really been a crazy couple of weeks. If you go from when we, prior to yesterday, our last win, when we beat Syracuse, that was on a Tuesday. We had Wednesday off, and then we come back Thursday. We have a really good practice, and then Friday, is when we find out that the game is postponed against Boston College, and we're told that it's going to be played at a later date, and it's going to be sometime in February, possibly. We had to make a good faith effort to try to play it. And so I find that out literally at like 105. Our guys are stretching. So we completely change our practice plan of what we're going to do. And obviously, there's no need to do Boston College stuff. And so we really have a no contact practice. And then we finish practice, have a really good spirited day, get back up to the office, and I find out that there's a possibility now that the game could be played on Sunday. And so I text my guys real quick and tell them. And so anyway, we end up having to travel up there on Sunday. You play that game. That's supposed to be our day off. Now we have one day to prepare. We fly up day of. You get back, and then you play Sunday. You play Wednesday. You play Saturday, Monday, Wednesday. And so it's been chaotic. We have not had a day off since the day after Syracuse, which was well over a week right now. We've traveled. Playing Saturday, Monday, a back-to-back
Right.
is something that's very different. I've never experienced it. And then to go straight from there to Tallahassee, it was a big-time challenge for our staff, for our team. Really proud of our guys for how we responded at the end of an energy cycle, going to Tallahassee and playing with such incredible energy to be able to pull off that win.
I don't think people understand what the staff has to go through. Can you give us an idea of kind of what they went through to make sure that the team was in the best place to be last night?
Yeah, well, it's difficult. We played, and obviously we were not pleased and not happy with how we played at Virginia Tech. After trying to come back, being down by so much in the first half when we played them here, and getting it back, and it's a 4-point game with 17 seconds left, and so you have an opportunity, and then you go there and you play and you don't play well. We actually flew right after the game to Tallahassee, so there was no need to come back here. And so we got to Tallahassee. I think we walked into the hotel and got to our rooms about 1:30 in the morning, and got up the next day, had breakfast. You got to move on very quickly. We had a practice time at their arena at noon. We did that. Obviously, it's not much we can do physically because we just played 2 games in 3 days, and we would have our third game in 5 days the next day. And so it was more of a mental day to talk about kind of a game plan and what we wanted to do. We walked through a few things. We added a few things that we thought could possibly work against the way they play defense. They have a very specific style, Florida State, in which they play. So you got to make sure the scout's ready, the preview is ready. How we do it, we do a preview, which kind of gives them a glimpse of the team. That was Tuesday morning before we went over to practice. We go over to practice because it's such a long day. We have study hall afterwards when we come back. Get together that night. We have dinner. Then that night we go over the personnel. So the full scout, we do that. We were in some ways lucky. It was a 9 o'clock game, so it gave us a little bit more time to rest, so you could really use that day to prepare as well. But you're unlucky because it's a 9 o'clock game in Florida, and so you
Right.
finish and you leave, and we pull back up at the Pete about 3:15 in the morning
Wow.
this morning, and so it's just been a really long past few days.
They're not jobs that you look at when you look at your assistants off the bat, but director of basketball ops, academic support, how crucial are they? Especially, I mean, you're missing school. You got to
Yeah.
make up that. There are tests. There are other things going on.
So our academic guy, Mike Fairball, who's unbelievable. He travels with us, especially when we're going for extended periods of time. And so I know on Tuesday, I think he proctored 4 exams. We had guys study hall making sure we're getting projects done, staying on top of everything. Obviously, the ops guy and the managers and the support staff making sure the meals are ready, the hotel is ready, the lunches. I mean, just all different things. When we leave practice, they've had stuff delivered, and we're there to pick it up, have it on the bus. and just kind of making sure everything with the hotel, everything is coordinated. So it's a huge group effort and a team effort to have everything run right. And our guys did an amazing job, especially just under the tumultuous circumstances that we were in. And there's so many important people to a program. Obviously, you mentioned Brian, but I'll tell you, man, the managers do, and we have great managers here, and they're so selfless. They're incredible teammates, and they do such an outstanding job just trying to make sure everything is in order for our guys, for our staff. Gilbert Brown has done an amazing job with that. Robert Blows, our graduate manager. I mean, these guys do a great job of just trying to make sure everything runs smoothly for everyone.
We discussed this with Jamarius a couple of weeks ago about his mid-range shot. There are coaches nowadays who will say that's just not a shot that you want in today's game. You either hit a three or you're going to the hole.
Yeah.
What do you think about mid-range and is there a role for that or a niche for that?
Well, where we are now, Jeff, like as long as we can score, I don't care how we score. We struggle to score, so I don't care if it's three, mid-range, layup, free throws, just if we can get baskets. But I do think there's a place for mid-range. I still think it's there. If you look at the NBA, if you look at some of the best players, like Chris Paul's the master of it and getting there. I think points are points. And if you can consistently put up points no matter what fashion, then you have a chance to win. And one of the things we've talked to him about, the three previous games before last night, he had only attempted 1 3 in those 3 games. And coming into this game, that's one of the things that we talked to him about. Like against this team, against Florida State, with how they play, when you have open threes, you have to be ready to shoot them. And he took 2 last night, but the one that he took and that he made, both of them were really good shots, but the one that he made was a huge one. And we were fortunate and glad that he listened and took those shots when they were available.
Mogi has been solid. You said it, I think, well after the game that it would have been a great game if some of those shots that he had been making had gone down, but it didn't let it affect it defensively, and those 8 blocks were big for you.
8 blocks. You know, he changed some other shots just with his presence around there. I thought he was good defensively. You know, he had great energy. He made some really strong drives. And he had been shooting the basketball well. He just couldn't make shots, last night. But I thought he impacted the game significantly.
Did you have a feeling about Ithiel, and that's why he started? What led to that?
Well, really what it came down to was I just felt like it was time. You know, obviously if we didn't have any disruption during the season with him, he would be a guy that probably would have started for us with how he was playing. He would have been a guy that was a starting player for us. And obviously he missed a lot of time, and that was unfortunate. And when he came back, we didn't want to thrust him into that right away. We knew it was going to take some time. He's got to get the rhythm of the game. He's got to get his wind back. He's got to get his legs back from playing. And, I think he had played 5 games, and I just felt like we needed something different. I felt like we needed a jolt. Also, I knew that they were going to pressure us all game, and so the ball handling was going to be really, really important. And if you look at the way our lineup was prior to last night, we had all of our ball handlers in together at the start. And anticipating some guys possibly getting tired, we wanted to have a guy coming off the bench, and Oni, that could pick up that void, that could fill that void when one of those guys needed a break. And he did that last night. Obviously, JB got in foul trouble. We had to sit him, and Oni came in and gave us some great minutes.
You also mentioned that Femi gave you some great minutes and maybe took some of his stuff off where Horton could just be at the three-point line because he's handling the ball. He'd been scoring a lot, but he seemed like he's just as happy to dish and grab rebounds.
It was interesting because it wasn't like as the game was going on, I didn't realize that he had not made a field goal. I didn't realize that he took 8 shots. I thought he really controlled the game. And I thought it was one of his better games. It wasn't until after the game that I looked at his stat line from the shooting. But he impacted the game with 6 assists. I thought he played really good defense. I thought he made really good decisions. I thought he played with great poise. We tried to find matchups with the way that they play and the way they switch. And we tried to take and, get those matchups and take advantage of those matchups. And I thought he did a really good job all game of doing that. And so, again, he didn't score like he has been in previous games. But the main thing is that he won. That's the most important thing. And you can score and do all these things, but unless it equates to winning, I thought all the things that he did, not that when he was scoring the previous games, it wasn't towards winning. I just thought that he played an outstanding game yesterday, and he didn't have a field goal.
You mentioned the foul trouble. Will Jeffress, 10 minutes in the first half, 6 rebounds and 2 assists. What do you tell him about that performance to kind of build on it?
I thought he was great. I thought his defense, throughout the game. I thought that obviously the rebounding, he was in a stance, he helped. He was great position defense, great individual defense, and he just played with great energy. I thought Noah Collier did as well. Obviously, Oni, when he came in, I thought Nate Santos, the last minute and a half, really did a great job. He had a physical block out at the end of the half that he had not been doing. That was really good to see. We tried to highlight that today when we watched tape with our guys. And so just really proud of all of them. The bench didn't contribute as far as points. Will had 2 free throws, but they were outstanding defensively, energy, and effort.
All right, we continue. 2-time captain from back in the 80s and was involved in some very memorable games and is doing some great things now after his playing career is over. Pat Cavanaugh will join us as we continue. It's the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. A 2-time captain of the Pitt Panthers, former Grove City High School star, and, of course, Pitt Panthers star, 109 games with the Panthers. And joining us now is Pat Cavanaugh. Pat, how are you? Say hi to Coach.
Hey, good afternoon. Hey, Coach, how are you?
What's up, Pat? How you doing, man?
Doing good. It's great to talk with you and catch up. It's been a while.
You played 3 times in the NCAA tournament, or 3 seasons in the NCAA tournament. Had some memorable games. You were here for Send It In, Jerome. Like, what do you tell people when they find out that you played at Pitt? What do you tell them about what that experience is like?
Well, to your point, the first thing they ask is, were you there when Jerome broke the back? Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing for me is being a part of a successful 4-year career and playing with Jerome and Charles and Demetrius Gore and Curtis. Who's obviously very involved. Still with the program, as Coach knows. I think that when I look back, it's success does not happen overnight. It's building a program, and Coach, you can attest to it. You're in the process of it now. Yeah. It takes time, and the challenging part, I think now more back when I played, is everybody wants to win now. It's not that they didn't then, but I think with the dynamic and the landscape has changed with transfer portal and players having the ability and programs to kind of give and take. But I think for me, understanding that you savor every win, and it takes time to build a long-standing successful program.
Pat, what was during your 4-year career here? What was your best or favorite moment? Being a part of the Pitt Panthers program.
That's a great question. I would say, without a doubt, beating Syracuse on the road my sophomore year to win the Big East championship. 35,000 people. Last game of the season, it was kind of win it or not, and having to beat Syracuse last game of the year to win the Big East regular season championship. To me, that stands out from a team perspective. I think individually, being able to kind of hold my own, if you will, call it that, against Mark Jackson my freshman year, helping the team win our first Big East game, Madison Square Garden. But at the end of the day, it's all about team, and winning that championship on the road in that environment was great.
Yeah, I know that had to be an incredible
Dropping
feeling.
Some names there.
Yeah.
Oof.
You forget, man, how many guys you had back then in the Big East.
Well,
Gosh.
Pat, hey, congratulations on everything, especially on the way that you were able to manage not only your playing career but your academics and what it's turned into for you. Congrats with all the success with Ready Nutrition, and enjoy the Super Bowl.
Hey, thank you very much. And you guys take care. Thanks for
appreciate it, Pat. Appreciate you, man.
All right, take care. All right, guys.
Probably his biggest honor is he's part of the Mercer County Hall of Fame, which is a big deal for some of us. A big deal in yesterday's game, Ithiel Horton, 25 points against Florida State. He joins us next on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. And welcome back to the Jeff Capel Show. We are joined by one of the stars of the Florida State game, Ithiel Horton. Ithiel, man, can you describe that feeling as you're hitting threes and it's going in as that game is progressing?
Yeah, I kind of feel invincible a little bit. Kind of feels like nothing can go wrong. And like I said, it's I deserve that feeling. I expect that feeling that I could do no wrong, and the basket's just as big as the ocean, and so. That's pretty much, the feelings.
All right, so millions of athletes want to know the answer. How do you bottle that and keep that feeling?
To be honest, just rinse, wash, and repeat, man. Just just do the same things that I did before that game, and get myself into that same mindset that I entered in, before that game. And it's easy, I know what to do now. I know what triggers to push to get me into that mode.
So you can give us an idea, like what did get you into that mode, and what were some of the triggers?
To be honest, what got me in that mode was just Florida State. All right, that was a particular game like Florida State. I don't really, every time I see FSU, I know that they play very physical. They play very tough, and so I just kind of bottled that up because that's how I want to play. That's how I envision myself playing tough, rough. Making the right plays, playing defense, and sticking my nose in, doing the dirty things. And so that's how.
They do play defense a little differently, though, don't they? I mean, they're physical, but they switch a lot, right?
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird that they played defense and that they were kind of pretty much up the line. And, I was like way deep in the corner, and they were pretty much up there near the wing. And I was like, they got to be pretty much dumb to do that. But, I mean, obviously, the scout is out. I'm pretty sure NC State is probably going to try and take me away on Saturday. But,
Okay, so how do you, knowing that going in, how does that affect how you prepare for this game on Saturday?
Well, it doesn't affect how I prepare. I'm still going to mentally lock in and do what I need to do and get myself in the right mindset. And I'm going to, when I get the ball, I'm going to, look for my shot. And if it's not there, I'm going to make the right play.
We're joined by Ithiel Horton and Jamarius. What has it been like your first year with him, and how has he impacted how you play?
It's, to be honest, it's kind of been too early to, really give you a really good answer. I haven't really played with him a lot. You know what I'm saying? But the few games I've, played with him, I find that we, feed off of each other. We reciprocate each other very well. We kind of think the same a little bit in the sense, he's a little, he's very, he's really in tune with what he knows. He's a basketball guru, and he's like,
Can you tell he's played a lot of basketball? I mean, does he do things that only guys that have played that many games do?
Well, I think a lot of us have played a lot of basketball. I think he watches a lot of basketball. And I think he listens to a lot of people who have played a lot of basketball, like Chris Paul. Matter of fact, we were in the hotel room and he had on a bunch of Chris Paul podcasts, the podcast with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, and just getting wisdom and getting the intellectualism that those guys know is it's really it shows.
So he's a junkie, like he can't get enough.
Oh, can't get enough. He was watching Kobe Bryant motivation videos for about an hour, about 2-3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, no, he's serious about it.
Now, are you anywhere on that level, or do you like some time away?
I consider myself to be not to the degree that he is, but I do get my motivation in. I do get my Kobe Bryant mama mentality speeches in, but not to the degree that I just get enough to put me in that mode and to get me ready.
Well, take us back to young Ithiel. Like, what got you into basketball? Like, what made it that basketball was the sport you wanted to play?
Oh, I wanted to follow my uncle's footsteps. My oldest uncle played at Georgia Tech. My dad played at CW Post, transferred to Fairleigh Dickinson. My middle uncle played at FDU and what's that school down there? Morgan State. My youngest uncle, he didn't really play past college, but he was a great shooter, great player, and that's pretty much, and then hearing my dad's stories about how he played in, the Carrier Dome, played in the Garden, played against Mark Jackson and Rick Smits, and, that pretty much motivated me to get into the game. But I wasn't as mentally focused as I am now, obviously younger, but,
Obviously they're older, but when you would have family get-togethers, like, was basketball a part of that?
Yeah, basketball was. I think sports were just a huge part of our get-togethers, whether it was football, basketball, or baseball. When we got together, we were talking about the latest news, talking about trades, draft picks, and that's what I grew up in, and that's what I'm familiar with.
And so that got you excited as much as anything, just having those conversations and seeing their excitement, and that got you into the sport.
Yeah, it got me into the sport, and it got my third eye thinking a little bit. I started seeing myself playing in these arenas, playing against these type of people.
How old were you when that?
I was about, when I started to really get that vision, I think I was about 11. I was about 11 when I started to get that vision because one of my travel teams, we played a really serious local, AAU team. And, our team was playing around a little bit. We got kicked. We got smacked. And my dad kind of came home and was like, listen, he's like, these kids that you're going to be playing against, they want this to pay for their school. They want this to, help them, reach other avenues. He's like, so if you want to be serious about it or not? If not, I'll just pull you out and you can be a regular full-time student. And I didn't want that. I wanted to be a player.
Do you ever sit back and watch, other than game tape, do you watch highlights of yourself?
Yeah, whenever I'm down and out, whenever I'm kind of in a shooting slump, whenever I don't feel like I'm moving fluid on the court, I sit back and, watch, some of my better games. I'll sit back and watch the full one of my better games. Then I'll sit back and watch a game where I was, horrible, just to keep myself humble.
When you're watching yourself shoot well, what are the triggers that you're looking for that's off? Is it or your elbow? Is it hand? What are things that you're watching when you're watching yourself back?
Is it? I don't know. Actually, I really can't put my finger on it. I think, sometimes if I'm shooting flat-footed a little bit, if I'm not getting enough bounce and enough legs into my shot, if my release is kind of flat instead of up. But other than that, I mean, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard. I just shoot. So I can't really.
Is it best when you just don't think about it? You're just looking. Now, do you look? Are you a front rim? You want to get it over the rim? Are you looking in the bucket? How do you?
Oh, I'm front rim. I'm front rim. I try to get over the front rim. I like that swishing sound. I love that swishing sound.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't love that?
Name me somebody who doesn't. And yeah.
What as a shooter, and obviously he's done it at an unbelievable level. What are your thoughts on Steph Curry?
Unbelievable. I mean, I thought about this one day. I was like, as amount of work that Steph Curry put in, I could put in as much work as Steph Curry put in. I'll probably never be able to shoot as good as Steph Curry because Steph Curry, I think, is just an anomaly. I think he's an anomaly in how he can shoot off the dribble. He's one of the best shooters, to ever play the game. But, whenever I watch him shoot, I just always believe it's going in, even if he's 2 for 14. I always think it's going in.
Well, I mean, obviously they set screens for him, but I think his ball handling is very underrated. The way he handles the basketball.
Very, very underrated, especially for a guy his height. He needs that ball. He needs that craftiness to get into the lane because guys are going to press up on him because he can shoot. So he's got to have a couple moves in his bag. He doesn't have a lot of moves in his bag. Just a bunch of slide off dribbles. Up head fakes. Getting into the lane, floater, throwing the lobs. I like his game. Love it.
Can you watch Steph or guys in the NBA and steal something like, hey, I'm going to try that, or that looks something like I could do?
It's funny because I try to watching Steph is tricky because Steph is a very flashy player. Obviously, he has a lot of room and leeway on his team to do a lot of things. So I can't really take a lot of them because, we play such a confined game. We're running plays, we're running sets. So I try to take pieces and things from somebody's game, like somebody like Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield doesn't really do a lot. He's like 2-3 dribbles, shoot, but his shot is his thing. Steph Curry is a real flashy player, and I'm not really that much of a flashy player. Obviously, I could steal some things from his game, but he's a little bit too complicated, I guess I'll say.
So you're not going to dribble up, pull up from 28 and shoot, and then when you go to the sideline, say, "Hey, Steph does it, coach."
Yeah, no. I think that'll find me a one-way ticket on the end of the bench. Yeah, definitely.
Were there guys growing up that you watched and that helped mold your game?
Yeah, so I watched a lot of Chris Joseph, like I said off the air. Watched Chris Joseph. I watched the way he moved with the ball, the way he shot the ball, and I realized at a young age I was a shooter, and so I kind of just gravitated toward his style of play. He's about 6'6", 6'7", but I think our games are similar. Now I'm gravitating to a lot more towards Buddy Hield because my teammates actually told me that I play like him just a little bit. So
there you go. That's not a bad comparison.
Not a bad.
Well, hey, good luck against NC State. I know they got a couple of offensive players too.
They do.
That can play the game. Sebron being first and foremost.
Yes.
Stuff that he does. So good luck Saturday afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
We'll be ready for him.
All right, Ithiel Horton joining us here. It's the Jeff Capel Show. Sam Clancy is next here on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. And welcome back to the Jeff Capel Show here on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Jeff Hathorn now joined by the director of the Varsity Letter Club, Sam Clancy, Panther who's in the rarefied air of the 1,000,000 Club. And Sam, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm good. Uh, you guys have a big weekend. You have alumni weekend coming in for NC State. How excited do you get to see some of the guys? And I know you've built strong relationships with even guys that you didn't play with.
I'm very excited though, because this is the reason why I enjoy what I do here at Pitt is keep engaged with our former student athletes, and to see some of the guys back to play the sport that I played. Things like that, though, I'm just so excited, though, because Kurt was a mentor to me, as well as Terry Knight would be there, and some other guys, though, and some guys that who said I was a mentor to them. So I'm always excited to see these guys.
Sam, what are the stories like when you guys get together?
Everybody got different eras of stories, though. So it's we tell some of the young guys of our stories, though, or I give some of my stories maybe when I had a battle with somebody. They always want to hear the Mike Jaminski story, how we beat them down at Duke when they was number 3 in the country. Then I tell them the good battles I had against when Duquesne was a powerhouse with Bruce Atkins and Doug Arnold and Jonathan Moore. But everybody got their own story. So it's always great to hear because it's all different decades of our former alumni. And the thing about it, though, this time we got our group is a little short. We only got about 25 to 30 coming this time. We usually get about 50 guys come back. And, we understand the situation in the country. So some guys don't want to take a chance. But it's good seeing those 25 or 30 that's going to be there.
Sam, I'm interested in your thoughts on watching John Hughley play. And does he remind you kind of like old school guys that you played against, or maybe even a little bit of yourself?
Yeah, well, he definitely reminded me a little bit of myself, though, except for John. He can probably go outside a little bit and shoot the jumper better than I did, though. But just trying to establish dominance in the post. And, John is all 6'9", and I was every bit of 6'5" and 3/4. That's the lie. I was 6'7", though. But yeah, he's physical. I do like the way he played now. I like to see him do more on defense because I think he can be a totally dominant player, though. But yeah, I do like what Big John is doing. I'm telling you, I do like the team fight, though. I know we had some games that got away from us, though, but I do like the way we are fighting and things haven't gone our way, though. But our kids got some fighting in them.
Sam, as a proud alumni and former player, how big is that when you watch this team to see that fight, to see them to bring that type of effort every game?
Well, it's important, though, because as an alumni, it's easy for the alumni to be to criticize. I always say every team, there's 1,000 coaches that's thinking that they know more than Coach Capel or something like that, though. Everybody they want to do their own criticism. So for me to see the team just bringing it, it's important, though, because for one, sports is about competing. It ain't about quitting, And as long as I think that we show that competitive effort, I think we can get this thing back on the right track, though. And I know a lot of alumni feel that way.
Sam, hey, best of luck. It's tip-off at 3 o'clock. This is the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.